back to the show, everybody. So we are continuing our Tuned In series where we dive deep into music's biggest headlines. And today, as 2025 slowly wraps up, we are digging into the most noteworthy stories of the year.
Here to help us do just that is music journalist and our friend, Emilie Hanskamp.
Good to have you. Good to see you. All right, so let's dive in, Emilie. All right, so concert fans have been complaining about the skyrocketing prices of tickets. And I understand that Ticketmaster has finally done something about it. Took them long enough.
A sentence we never thought we would hear.
Ever.
And I'm sure everyone has had an experience with the resale market. You know, earlier this year, there was Ariana Grande was one example. She had to make a statement when her tickets ended up at skyrocketing prices. Then we had the Oasis tour finally happen, but that was a mess with Ticketmaster. But Olivia Dean, the UK artist, she was not having it. When her tickets ended up in the resale market for up to 14 times their resale value, she took to social media calling out Ticketmaster, Live Nation, and AEG.
Good.
Yeah, calling them disgusting and vile resale practices, urging them to do better, and they actually did something about it. Not only did they cap the resale price of her tickets, they also refunded any fan who bought a resale price the difference between that resale price and the original price.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think as we close the year, this teaches us two things. One, we are fed up and we are ready for accountability, not only from artists calling them out, but there's also now a swift class action lawsuit that's getting closer and closer to court, something to keep an eye on. But two, artists do have power. Now we're talking about if Olivia Dean can do this, Taylor Swift, what's up? What are you doing? So artists do have to get more involved in the conversation.
Okay, so keeping that with that, are we inching any closer to ticket resale legislation here in Canada?
Great question, especially on the heels of in the UK, they just made it illegal to resale tickets above the face value. An incredible, development. But you might not realize, but there are a few provinces in Canada where we already have resale legislation. But the problem here is we have so many loopholes, it's hard to enforce them, which is why, for example, here in Ontario, the Ford government scrapped those in 2019. They're looking into them again, but unfortunately, it's going to take more than government. It's going to take a combination of government, as we saw artists and fans galvanizing, but we are not there yet.
Got it. Okay. Next, we're moving on to Bad Bunny. He, of course, had a massive year with the release of his latest album and his Super Bowl halftime show announcement. He really did things his own way. So tell us more.
Huge year. I mean, Spotify just announced today he's the most streamed artist in the world. He announced he launched his album. It was super successful this year. But instead of going on a $1 billion world tour, he decided to do something historic. Launched this 31-day residency on his home island of Puerto Rico. So he sold out all those 400,000 tickets, and I really admire the way he really kind of rewrites the rules in the pop machine, which is a hard thing to do. But he did reveal that he did that also to avoid ICE agents and raids at his shows. And that's another reason I'm bringing this up, is this year we really do have to take into account the effect of Trump's America on the music industry. This is one example, right? But we're seeing that in, MAGA-coded artists like Morgan Wallen climbing the charts. We're seeing that with artists like Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Rodrigo, who are fighting against their music being used in ICE ads. In Canada, we're seeing that with Canadian artists having trouble going over the border, specifically trans and non-binary artists. So this is a thread we've seen pull throughout the year, one that I think will culminate or continue to culminate when Bad Bunny performs at the halftime show.
We love Benito for what he did for Puerto Rico. It's great. All right, so let's stick with politics and music for a minute. Irish rap trio Kneecap were at the center of some of music's biggest headlines. Some fans here. Awesome. And as we close out 2025, Canada is now playing a part in their story. Talk to us about that one.
Yeah, so another of the big conversations this year was what many consider to be a fight for free speech in the music industry. And this has happened in many spaces, but I would say arguably the genocide in Palestine has been one of the core, places where that has been happening. And, we are seeing, artists like Bjork and Lorde join over 1,000 other artists in geo-blocking their music from being available in Israel. We were seeing benefit fundraisers and concerts being planned. We're also seeing a pushback against artists like Kneecap and Bob Vylan, among others, who are having dates canceled, visas canceled because of their statements on Palestine. So Canada comes in because you might remember in September, Kneecap was supposed to come for a few sold-out shows. They were banned. And MP Vince Gasparo said that was like a government-wide decision, citing some violence and terrorist crimes against one member who have since been dropped. But now the government has come forward and said, we were not part of that plan. Kneecap is going to be pursuing legal challenges as we close this year and donating that money to children, if they win, donating that money to children who have been affected by the genocide in Gaza. So
Wow. Good for them.
Wow.
Good for them.
We haven't heard her name as much at the end of the year, but boy, oh boy, 2025 started with a huge bang for Chappell Roan. So I want to go back earlier this year to the Grammy Awards. Why was that moment so important this year?
Yeah, so she gets on stage, this huge moment for Best New Artist, and she decides to use that stage for an arguably risky statement in a room full of industry insiders. You might remember there was an op-ed that was kind of published that got backlash but went viral, kind of calling Chappell naive for making these demands of labels. And the reason I want to talk about this is that, yes, it happened at the beginning of the year, but what we've seen throughout this year since that moment is artists really and increasingly pulling back the curtain on the realities of living and surviving as an artist in 2025. Why now? Because of threats like AI, because of corporate interests that are getting in their own way of kind of earning a livelihood, difficulties with touring. So now if we can't rely on the artists the industry exclusively, where they're bringing fans into the fold and making kind of ethical consumption of music something that is on all of our shoulders and something that we're more aware of now, which I think is actually, as difficult as it is for artists, a really positive thing overall.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we only have about a minute left, but we want to close out this year by talking about one of the most talked about things, which is artificial intelligence and its impact on music.
Yeah. I mean, so I'll just close out with where we are. It's interesting because last year I was sitting on this couch and we were talking about a lot of what ifs. It's no longer what ifs, we are in it right now. A French streaming app, Deezer, said over 50,000 AI songs go onto these apps every single day, and that 97% of people surveyed couldn't tell the difference between an AI song and a human-generated song. Meanwhile, we have AI artists topping the charts, and significantly, while last year I was talking about a lot of lawsuits between major labels, the billion-dollar companies, and artists, this year, as we close it out, we're seeing more deals, handshakes, and collaboration. So if we're kind of trying to test the waters and see where the industry is going, it seems like they are going in the way of those handshakes, as I'm saying. So we have to be really vigilant because it's going to be an uphill battle for quite some time, judging on how we're closing out this year.
Wow. Emilie, so good. Thank you so much for giving us this 2025 music recap.